Motherhood has always been at the heart of family life, but what it looked like has changed dramatically from decade to decade. Between the 1940s and the 1980s, moms carried the weight of war, raised families in booming suburbs, adapted to cultural revolutions, and eventually entered an era of balancing careers with motherhood in ways never seen before. Each generation of mothers had its own challenges, joys, and expectations, yet through it all, one thing remained constant: the unwavering care and strength they gave to their families. The 1940s placed mothers in extraordinary circumstances. With World War II pulling millions of men overseas, women became the backbone of the home front. Mothers managed households with ration books, substituting ingredients and growing victory gardens to stretch meals. Many took on jobs in factories, offices, and hospitals, juggling the double responsibility of providing income while still caring for children. It wasn't uncommon to see mothers sewing their own clothes, patching worn garments, and teaching children the value of frugality. Letters from fathers serving abroad became family treasures, often read aloud by mothers to keep spirits high. Despite shortages and uncertainty, moms kept the household running and maintained a sense of normalcy for their children. The image of the 1940s mother is one of resilience. She stood in line for scarce supplies, stretched budgets with creativity, and provided comfort during air raid drills or blackouts. These mothers represented stability at a time when the entire world felt unstable, shaping a generation with lessons in sacrifice and perseverance. With the war behind them, the 1950s ushered in an era of optimism and suburban growth. Mothers were often portrayed as homemakers in neat dresses and aprons, smiling in kitchens filled with shiny new appliances. Advertisements and television programs idealized the perfect housewife, who kept the home spotless, the children well-dressed, and dinner ready when her husband came home. In reality, many mothers worked tirelessly to maintain this standard. They embraced domestic tools like washing machines, refrigerators, and vacuum cleaners, which made chores more efficient, but also reinforced the expectation that moms should dedicate themselves entirely to home life. Raising children in safe suburban neighborhoods became the centerpiece of their role. The 1950s also highlighted social gatherings, from PTA meetings to neighborhood coffee hours, where moms built supportive communities. The pressure to live up to the June Cleaver stereotype was immense, but behind the polished image, these mothers carried the daily burdens of childcare, budgeting, and the emotional well-being of the family. By the 1960s, the image of motherhood began to shift. Social and political movements were reshaping American culture, and mothers were not immune to these changes. The women's liberation movement questioned the restrictive roles of the 1950s, while civil rights struggles pushed families into deeper conversations about equality and justice. Mothers increasingly stepped beyond the home, with more women joining the workforce. Balancing part-time jobs while raising children became more common, reflecting changing economic needs and a growing desire for independence. Fashion also mirrored these shifts. Hemlines rose, styles relaxed, and the rigid image of the apron-clad mother started to fade. Still, motherhood in the 1960s was full of contradictions. Some women embraced tradition, while others leaned into activism and progress. Whether marching for change or making peanut butter sandwiches, moms of this decade carried both the hopes of tradition and the momentum of transformation. The 1970s brought new challenges for mothers as economic realities pushed many families toward two incomes. Inflation and a changing job market meant more women worked outside the home, often while still handling most household responsibilities. The concept of the latchkey kid, children returning to empty houses after school, emerged as moms tried to balance careers with parenting. Cultural expectations shifted too. Feminism and workplace reforms brought opportunities, but they also added pressure for mothers to do it all. A typical mom might attend a PTA meeting after a long day at work, then manage dinner and household chores. The balancing act became exhausting, but it also gave rise to a new kind of role model, the working mother. Despite these struggles, the 1970s also offered a sense of freedom. Fashion was looser, family structures more flexible, and parenting styles less rigid than in previous decades. Moms encouraged individuality in their children, reflecting the wider cultural movement of self-expression and independence. By the 1980s, the image of motherhood transformed yet again. Technology entered the home in full force. Microwaves, personal computers, and VCRs changed how families lived and ate. The supermom ideal gained traction. A woman who could maintain a career, raise children, stay fit with aerobics, and keep a stylish home. Media heavily influenced perceptions of mothers in this decade. TV sitcoms showed moms who were more relatable, often juggling imperfections while still holding the family together. Working mothers became more visible, and the notion of moms as multitasking superheroes became both an aspiration and an unrealistic pressure. The 1980s mom carried a unique mix of tradition and progress. She might still cook a casserole for dinner, but she did it after leaving the office. She cheered at soccer games, helped with homework, and navigated the rise of consumer culture, all while maintaining the steady presence families relied upon. From the wartime resilience of the 1940s to the multitasking supermoms of the 1980s, the journey of motherhood reveals a powerful story of adaptation and strength. Each decade brought new challenges and new expectations, but moms continue to shape family life with care, love, and determination. Looking back reminds us that while times and circumstances may change, the role of mothers as the steady heartbeat of family life remains timeless.